Hi everyone, welcome back to Beach Angel Tarot. I'm here to do my weekly angel reading. Angel Speaks for the week of July. I guess it would have been 18. This is the 20th. I'm a little late in posting. I'm going to open with a passage from this booklet, Sidewalk Oracles, playing the signs, symbols, and synchronicities in everyday life. So you may want to think of a question, or you may want to ask your angels for a message that may be important for you this week, or however you want to use this little reading. I'm going to read out of here that it's going to be a message to us from the angels for something in one way, shape, or form. So how I'm going to do it is I'm just going to go back and forth, open the book, and go to the right side page, middle to bottom. I'm going to read from there because I'm not going to read 2 full pages. It would be rather boring, I think. We're going to get what we need from... I'm getting the right side, middle to the bottom. So focusing on the energies, what you want to hear, what we need to hear this week, or how we're going to answer questions for those that are asking questions. We're going to see what comes up for us as a message from Spirit. Right side, bottom, middle to bottom. Okay. I'm really drawn to start here, so I'm going to read from here to the bottom. It says, further down the street, a young man was strumming a guitar on one side of a car, singing what sounded like an original, unfinished composition. His girlfriend watched and listened from the other side of the car, which was full to the gills with clothes and boxes and bedding. They were moving in or moving on, a big day for them, which is interesting because I'm moving. I returned to the park the next day and came upon the earnest fisherman casting his line from a gap in the cattails in the western end of the lake. I asked him if he had ever caught anything here. Yes, sir. I just caught a bass as big as my tackle box, the biggest fish I ever caught in my whole life. His tackle box was large and chunky. A bass that size would certainly be a big fish. I was skeptical about his fish story. I wished him a good one and was almost at the other side of the lake when I heard him yelling, "Hey, look at it, I got one." He hoisted his rod high in the air so I could see what he had caught. The fish was truly as long as his tackle box. He poised for a pitcher, then unhooked the bass and let it drop back into the water. A snatch of Ovid returned to me. I don't know what that means. A snatch of Ovid returned to me. Chance is always powerful. Chance is always powerful. Let your hook always be cast in the pool where you least expect it. There will be a fish. I'm going to hold it up because I'm not sure what Ovid is, but I'm just going to hold that up so you can kind of see it if you want to. So that is the message from the book, which is interesting because let your hook always be cast in the pool where you least expect it. There will be fish. Chance is always powerful. So I am moving. So they mentioned moving. They mentioned fishing. They mentioned a fish story, right? That they thought wasn't true, but then it really was true. And then they tell us that chance is always powerful. Let your hook always be cast in the pool where you least expect it. There will be fish. So let your hook always be cast. So you may catch something where you least expect it, and to believe a fish story, or to believe something that was fishy. Something may sound fishy, but it turns out to be true. Don't know how that would all answer your question, but I'm just going to hold it up so people can read it, or snapshot it, or see it. Interesting little ditty I was guided to do. I'm kind of intrigued that it mentioned moving. So we're going to do this week's reading. You know what? I just feel like I want to do my rainbow rain. I just want to do my rainbow rain. We're just going to get a simple message, like a simple word, visual color. We're just going to make it simple. It's definitely different this week. So what the angels want us to know, what they can see, I probably can't see down here. I'm just going to shuffle too. What the angels want us to know right now. I feel it's this one. And it's seeing truth. And that was kind of like the truth, right? We thought there was going to be a fish story, but yet the guy really caught a fish as big as his tackle box, right? So we did see the truth appear, even though we thought maybe it wasn't going to be true. So they want us to know we're going to see a truth. And all this blue. Blue has to do about communication and Which is funny, they said look on the bottom, which I didn't intend to do more than one card. The bottom is powerful communication. So, seeing the truth about communication, having truthful communication, this is coming up this week is important. So what they can see high above, we can't see down here. And we're not seeing it correctly, and it is going nowhere. Which for me can be, I'm not gonna include the undercurrent there. This can be too something that isn't leaving, something that is going nowhere is also not going anywhere, right? You know what I mean? Like you can perceive that there's this energy here of this being that's coming to mind for some reason. This can be perceived. It's like this isn't going anywhere, or they're not going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like they're not leaving, or we're not going to get anywhere with this, or we're not going anywhere. So this can be perceived two different ways. So this is about seeing the truth of a perception, I feel, this week. So that's kind of where we're at in this moment. Let's see what comes up. What the angels want us to know. What we can do to help the angels help us this week. And it is hidden in plain sight. Again, perception. It's like one of those drawings that, you see. Do you see a face, or like, do you see a witch's hat and a profile, or do you see an old lady's face or something? You know what I mean? Like it's one of those, how are you looking at something? So it is how we're looking at something. Like, because this could be perceived two ways. Like this is never going to go anywhere, and this isn't going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to get away. They're not going anywhere. So it's all in how it's perceived. There's something in the sense of perception, because this stands for two different things. This can stand for two different meanings. It can be perceived as negative or positive in the fact that something can't get away from us. It will always be there. Or it can be negative. It's never going to amount to anything, right? So this card can be implied in two ways. We're talking about seeing the truth of something, and again, this has to do with communication in regards to how we perceive this or say it, right? And what we can do to help them is to how we're perceiving something. Something is in plain sight, and it's all in our perception of it. So it's to see something that's kind of like obviously right under our nose. And again, it's going back to that same thing about believing is seeing. A friend of mine was just saying this to me, I think today, and it was believing is seeing. Not seeing is believing. Like we will wait for long periods of time, making sure we were seeing progress, right? To believe it's happening, or to believe it's going to happen. What's necessary is to believe it, and to believe is to be in that faith. So it's to believe it. It's hidden in plain sight. It is right there. But to see it, we must believe it, because until we believe it, it's hidden. But as soon as we believe it, it's going to appear. Okay, it's like having lost something, and you think that it got thrown in the garbage. So your perception is it's never going to appear here. Well, then all of a sudden you think, well, okay, maybe I didn't throw it in the garbage. I may have left it somewhere in here, and then because you start believing you may not have thrown it out, you are better apt to be able to see it. You know what I mean? Because the other way you believe you're never going to see it again, and so it won't appear. So there's a sense here of needing to be in an energy of belief, being in that vibration for something to appear in front of you. They're saying there's something in plain sight, but you're vibrating, you're not seeing it correctly. There's a perception that's off this week. There's a need to kind of change the way you're believing something is possible to be able for it to appear in front of you, they're saying. It's like a little bit of a magic trick, but it's all connected to your perception and your belief and the ability to have it or to see it, okay? So something that is the angel whispers, this is a secret we do not know, and this is going to be helpful, and it is frozen and will thaw. So secret we do not know, something that will be helpful for us to know is that a situation that is frozen will thaw out. And again, a sense of changing form. Frozen water thaws and then it's fluid, right? So something that is unmoving, but even in the unmoving state, it is solid, it is solidified. It is cold, so it can be useful in cooling something. It can be solid and helpful in helping create a bridge, like if a lake or something is frozen over, you're able to cross over it, safely if it's frozen enough. So it has its usefulness. This frozen state has its usefulness, they're saying, but it will thaw and become more fluid. It will move again, right? So something that's perceived going nowhere has its advantage in certain aspects of it and in the form that it's in at the time that it's in it. But it will change form and move again and be able to be more fluid. Pretty interesting. Okay, so something that's going to transpire in a good way soon for us. Closing message from Spirit. And it is happy communication coming. And it's blue. It's all blue like this, blue and white. So these are both blue and white. So it could be in this area where you think it's going nowhere, but yet it's not going anywhere. It's all in how you speak it, right? All in how I spoke those words. Like, this isn't going anywhere. Like, I'm getting exhausted. We're going to go round and round. And then I say it. They're not, this is, it's not getting away from me. It's not going anywhere. So it's all in the tone, the perception, how we word it. Same situation. It has to do with communication. The blue on here, seeing the truth of it, is here. So it's going back. The key is here is believing it. There's a sense of a need for believing it before you see it. And just know that every form that it's in, while it's in it, is serving a purpose. Not to worry about that phase of it, because it's changeable, it's mutable, and this is what the result is. Okay. So I love how this reading came out this week. It's a short and sweet one. Rather interesting in how it came out. And I will see everybody next week. Angel blessings, everyone. Oceans of love.